Welcome to Soul Wellness with Kristen, where we get into the nitty-gritty of various holistic modalities and explore exactly how they help you heal. I'm your host, Kristen, and I invite you to join me on this enlightening expedition where we explore the connection between mind, body, and spirit. In each episode, we'll talk in depth with holistic providers, medical professionals, therapists, and healers. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge, inspire you with stories of resilience, and provide practical tools that you can integrate into your daily life. So, find a comfortable space and join us as we explore the multifaceted world of holistic wellness. Get ready to learn how to improve every aspect of your life and simply feel good. The adventure begins now. Thank you for joining us. Today I have Debbey Woodruff with me with Breakthrough WellBEing. Debbie is a certified yoga and mindfulness instructor, and she specializes in yoga therapy. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It is so good to be here. I'm glad that I found you and Soul Wellness recently.
Yes, I'm glad that you found us too, because you do something that's a little bit different than anything I've heard about. You specialize in yoga therapy. So tell us what that is.
Yoga therapy is a body-based modality that not only helps you feel better physically, but allows you to explore any mental and emotional underlying currents that might be contributing to things that you feel in your body.
So it encompasses everything, really.
It really does. It is a whole body. I would say it's a whole body therapy. Mm-hmm. You can work just on the surface, working to relieve tension and areas that feel uptight or not right, or posture issues or pain issues. So it can be just about those things, Kristen, but it can go beyond that, because a lot of times we store things inside of us that contribute to the posture or the pain or the constant headaches, not consciously, but unconsciously.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you'll hear other body workers in this center say that, how things are just stored. Emotional pains, traumas, that kind of thing are just stored in the body. So it's really interesting how you can work with somebody just physically if that's what they want, but you can also help them dig deeper into what's really going on.
Absolutely. So what we do is we start with what is present, what is seen, and we work to help the body relax. And that's number one in any kind of modality that you might engage. You've got to help the body relax, because that's how you are able to release pain. That's how you're able to think more creatively. That's how your body, the state in which your body needs to be to heal itself.
Right.
Our body is incredible with its ability to self-heal. And when we relax, that frees all of the right chemicals to flow in the right ways in our body to bring it back to a restorative state.
Right.
So you start there, and then you go on.
And you can work with any level. Is that correct?
You don't even have to like yoga. So we call it yoga therapy, right? But you could hate yoga, and this still could be a great solution for you in your journey for finding well-being in your body. Mm-hmm. So absolutely.
So when you start to work with somebody, you assess obviously what they want to accomplish. You assess their physical level too, and then you kind of navigate from there.
Yeah, there's usually a pretty long intake. It does take some time. I send a questionnaire beforehand that somebody fills out, describing a little bit about themselves, what the presenting issue is, what they want to get out of yoga therapy, maybe even about some health conditions, because that helps inform the direction in which yoga therapy goes. Yoga therapy is very individualized to the person, and having a more complete picture of the person helps me pull the right things out that we need to work on. So yoga therapy works with a variety of different yogic tools. And while they're based in yoga and yogic traditions, it might be breathing, it might be yoga psychology, if you will, it might be the movements. So if you're into yoga, you'd call it asana. But so it pulls from all these different things to find what is right for you. What I want to say, ironically, is that Western psychology and Western science is catching up with what yogis and yogic tradition has been claiming all along, and it's really interesting to see that.
That is interesting. So there's science behind this. Talk to me about that.
So in yoga, there is a lot of emphasis on making sure that you're connected with your breath and that you're consciously using your breath to bring you into the state of being that you need. So that's been around for a long time. And what's interesting is now the science is catching up. And so you'll see things on podcasts by Andrew Huberman, or you can just go Google physiological sigh, for example, or some box breathing, or, Wim Hof has a style of breathing that mirrors fire breathing. So here you can Google and see things very much on the Western side that yogis have been talking about all along. And these help bring you into either states of relaxation, or if you're feeling a little down, bring your energy up. Or if you're feeling unfocused, help to focus the energy. So the science is there to say, hey, breath makes a difference. So that's one example.
Okay.
There's also a lot in studying pain and so forth. So a lot of what we talk about in yoga therapy is just being present, being in this present moment. And again, the science backs that. So when we are more present, then our brain is not running ahead. And when we run ahead and think about all the things that need to happen, that could happen, that we need to do.
What ifing a situation to death?
Well, yes, exactly. That brings on anxiety, right? And when we spend too much time thinking in the past, what if I would have done this? So in the opposite direction, what if I could have done this? Oh, I should have. Maybe it's should having, right? This should have happened. I should have done this. If only, I made the wrong decision. All of those things, that leads us to depression.
Right.
And so, but being present allows us to say, what's in front of me right now? And what's my opportunity? So something negative that you perceive as negative may have happened to you, but there's an opportunity in it. Something positive, or you perceive as positive, could have happened to you. And what are you going to do with it, or how are you going to replicate it so that you continue that result that you want? So that's presence. And yoga's philosophy has talked about this all along. And now you hear things, in podcasts on YouTube, and read articles that talk about the power of presence. So those are a couple of examples.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Who is the ideal person that should be working with you?
I think somebody who's looking for a change in their life. So it might be as simple as wanting to reduce tension in the body, having chronic headaches, or somebody who's constantly feeling like their jaw is tight or their stomach is upset, and they don't want to live that way anymore. So somebody who wants a change, probably somebody who, just feels that it's repetitive. There's some kind of pattern happening that they want to alter. Maybe this person has gone to a chiropractor, or they see a psychologist, maybe they've gone to their physical medical doctor, maybe they've tried a couple of things and they just know they're not getting quite at the root cause. So what yoga therapy tries to do is deal with the symptoms, but go beyond the symptoms and to find that root cause. Is there some kind of unconscious mental or emotional belief inside, or unresolved stressor? Could be something that just happened 6 months ago. It could be a terrible car accident, or something terrible that happened that you really didn't want in your life, and you just haven't really processed it all the way through. So somebody who wants to maybe explore underlying issues as well that don't seem to be resolved in spite of all of the things that they have tried.
I think that it's so common for people to just compartmentalize, suppress what they are being bothered by, and then watch it show up physically years later.
Exactly. Absolutely. Because it's a pain to have to deal with it, quite frankly.
Right, but then it's going to be a physical pain to deal with if you don't deal with it.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's like invest now, or, pay later.
Yeah.
And so yoga therapy gives the opportunity to deal with and allow those things that are kind of stored up. There's some science around when you experience something, whether it's positive or negative, chemicals are released. We know this, right? We're a big chemical factory inside. And if the experience is not fully processed, that those chemicals stay concentrated in the body somewhere. And typically that's where we'll find that pain, whether it's positive or negative. We can find a certain area of our body that feels different than another area of our body when we're paying attention. Most of the time, Kristen, we don't pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Where do you work with people? Do you go to their homes, or do you have a space that you work with people? I know that you're thinking about working with people at Soul Wellness, so I'm super excited about that.
Absolutely. So I do have a space in Davidson, North Carolina, where I can work with people. I can work with some people virtually, depending on the circumstances. I can work with people here at Soul Wellness, which I'm very excited about. I can also work with people in their home.
If need be.
If need be.
I'm thinking elderly.
Yes, absolutely. I can work with people in the home as long as we have the right kind of trust established.
What kind of equipment, or do you even need equipment?
Very basic equipment. I mean, we use a mat, we use some bolsters, we use a strap that allows you to kind of open up parts of your body, because there's a little bit of a physical component to it. And pillows, eye pillows. I mean, it's just really basic yoga kind of
That's easy.
Props. Oh, absolutely. And I can travel anywhere. I can travel and make it happen. That's what makes it great to come up here when we have clients here at Soul Wellness.
I really would love to see your clientele grow up here, because I think it's a great modality, and I think it would work really well with the other modalities here at the center.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What does a session look like? Is there going to be partially talk therapy? Obviously there's going to be yoga poses and stretching and that kind of thing, but tell me what a normal session looks like and how long that session is.
Sure. Well, the first one's going to be longer, so up to 2 hours, and that's an intake. I really take time to explore, have things happen in the last 1 to 2 years that could be contributing to the pain, or is there a health condition that we need to be aware of? And in addition to, what you want, what physical restrictions you have. So we really take time to understand and establish where we need to go. Also, I take time to look at the physical body and look at where there might be, where you might be more hunched over and things like that. So there's a kind of a physical component to it. There's an intake history component to it. And then from there is the practice itself. You talk about talk therapy. No, not really so much. My role is to provide a safe space. And in that safe space, allow you to explore what's going on. So it's less about me telling you and more about asking questions and listening and allowing you to listen to yourself.
But I would imagine people, as they start tapping into themselves, they probably will start telling you some things.
Absolutely.
And then you can kind of help and then keep them present from a mindfulness perspective, kind of help that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And from there, just asking questions like, what do you think this is about? What do you need to heal? It's let me go back, because I really digressed. I'd love to explore this a little bit more, but let me go back. You asked about the session. So typically sessions, the first one is 2 hours. And subsequent sessions are between an hour and an hour and a half. A typical session will be a short intake after the initial. There'll be a short intake, how are things going, what has worked and what hasn't worked based on the last time we've met. And then we'll go into the yoga therapy session itself. Typically there are movements involved, and it is a very proactive, involved modality, meaning like when you go to get a massage, you just lay there on the table. Right. You're very passive in the process.
Yes.
In yoga therapy, you're active and passive at the same time, if I may say. Okay. So you might be lying down on the floor. Let's say that your hips are really bothering you. So I will be assisting. So doing yogic assists, I help you get into the place where you really feel that tension in your hip, just using that as an example. And we find the edge where you feel the intensity, but you can still breathe and you can still invite a sense of relaxation in. And we move through different positions, if you will. And in each of those, we kind of hold those positions until the body begins to relax. And then we gently move out and we move on. And then with that, we'll also take, once the body feels more relaxed, then we find a place where they're still holding something that doesn't feel quite right, feels a little off. And then we spend a little time with that area and just try to approach it creatively. So what do I mean by that? I mean, we start to ask, instead of your mind that has its set patterns of thinking, we try to bypass the mind and we use the creative side of the brain. So instead of using the left side that we activate so frequently, we use the right side of the brain. So we might say, well, if this muscle could speak to you, what would it say? And what that's doing is igniting the unconscious, the underlying part of you that you don't often access because you're using the left side of your brain. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, gosh, it's telling me I need to relax. And it's amazing what insights happen. And so then the session goes there, and then we have to integrate everything so stuff can bubble up. And we want to make sure that it is relatively resolved for the session. So we spend some time just allowing the body to kind of take that extra bubble up of energy, the surge of energy, and then allow it to dissipate and relax so that when you leave, you're feeling pretty darn good. So you feel better and you can live brighter.
Have you ever had anyone have a major breakthrough during a one-on-one session with you?
Oh, I've had several. It's been really amazing. So I had one person who experienced an extreme tragedy in their life, and through yoga therapy, they were able to find greater range of motion in the body because they were really holding it in their hips, and then the hips began to open up and they were much more flexible. But in addition to that, they felt overwhelmed with peace and love. So through the session, I'm holding on to some pretty extreme pain. They were able to let go, find the freedom in their body, and find freedom in emotion, and just be filled with, they felt a sense of light and a sense of love and peace that was overwhelming and amazing. I've had other people who were feeling quite stressed, and maybe through the exploration part of yoga therapy, realized that changes that were happening in their lives, they resisted. And they resented. Mm-hmm. They resented it because they didn't want to have to make a change. And as we continued to explore where this was coming from, the realization came they were blaming themselves. And they realized, wait a minute, I can let go of this because this change that I have to make in my life isn't about my poor performance. It's not about me failing in some way. It's about external circumstances, and I'm taking care of myself so I can let go of the resentment and the resistance to the change and embrace it. I had somebody else experience pain that they had chronically, and they, again, through the exploration process, and it really is just about you connecting with your own body, mm-hmm. and you learning to listen to what your body is saying through the tense feeling that you might have or the chronic condition. And this person realized that the pain that they had felt for years was really about an unprocessed relationship that had gone awry years ago. And the person felt the tension just moving up the body from the lower back, and felt it move all the way out, up through and out through the heart and out through the hands, and just felt this heat and this warmth and this relaxation and a letting go that had never happened before, admitting things they had never admitted to themselves before, about self-blame, mm-hmm. about that it was somehow their fault, or somehow they weren't worthy. I wasn't worthy. That's how come I got treated the way that I did in this bad relationship. And through that process, realized, wait a minute, I am worthy. Mm-hmm. And I can let go of this belief that I'm not worthy.
That's incredible.
And that person does not experience very much back pain anymore. And when they do, they know it's a trigger and the body's saying something. And they draw into some of the tools that we talked about, and then they practice them on their own and find the relief and let go of whatever's happening.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love this. How did you get into this modality?
I needed it.
You needed it.
I needed it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I needed it. I stumbled on it quite by accident. I was listening to a podcast that talked about yoga nidras, which is a mindfulness meditation practice that really tries to address the different parts of who we are. So we have an unconscious part that we know about, but we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, right? And we have a spiritual side of us that we all seem to have, whether we practice a particular religion or not, but there's a spiritual side of us, and there's the part of us that's wise, and the part of us that is physical. There's the part of us that's the breath and the chemicals. So, and I say all this because there are all these different layers to who we really are. I mean, you've got the physical manifestation of the body, but there's a lot more behind it, right? Your energy, I'm up, I'm down, I'm happy, I'm sad. There's the other things that I've already mentioned. And so I heard this show about I Am Yoga Nidra meditation and how it tries to address all parts of you so that you are unified in such a way that it helps bring the unconscious to the conscious, and then you can proactively address some of the hurts and things that are way deep down or unresolved issues you haven't dealt with. And it really resonated with me, and I tried it. I then explored, it seemed pretty powerful, and a particular practitioner was mentioned in this show, and her name is Kamini Desai. I went and found her on the internet, of course, and fell into yoga therapy because this is a component of yoga therapy.
Okay.
It is a component that can be used. It's not used in every session. Again, things are custom designed. So through that, I went and I wanted to get some private meditation sessions. I was pretty stressed out. I was in corporate America. I was a single mom with 3 teenagers who were wonderful children, but also gave me a run for my money because all teenagers like to do that, right? Consciously or unconsciously, it just kind of goes with the territory. And so I had this very intense job, and I had this being a single parent and trying to navigate all of this at once. And it was causing more issues than I thought as I began to learn through my private yoga nidra sessions. And the person that I worked with through the Amrit Yoga Institute, he began to practice yoga therapy with me. He was a certified yoga therapist, and not only did the meditation, but brought in components of this yoga therapy, and it changed my life, Kristen.
Wow.
It changed my life. And saved me from being almost a nervous breakdown to being able to function and put me on the path where I am today.
Do you find that there's a certain niche or type of person that seeks your services? Do you feel like that kind of person who is maybe stuck in their life, overworked,
Yes.
too much on their plate, that's the person that's typically reaching out to you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Somebody who is in some kind of emotional or kind of like a little bit of an emotional, stressed out. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, or emotional crisis. I mean, I was truly in an emotional crisis at the time. These things were happening and it was overwhelmed. I felt very overwhelmed. I think yoga therapy is a perfect solution for people in that spot in life.
Do you offer some sort of consultation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, people can call you and just sort of see if it clicks and feel like they can get more information and see if you can help them, kind of thing.
Yeah, they can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation on my website, breakthroughwellbeing.com, and it's right on the front page. So if you just go there, you can schedule a call, and I'm happy to talk with anybody who wants to explore it more and how it might work for them. Yeah, I also offer, in the consultation, we may discover that yoga therapy in and of itself isn't the right solution, but maybe it's just mindfulness, or maybe it's private yoga. And those things are also available through Breakthrough WellBEing. Yeah.
Fantastic. What would you say to a person who is almost afraid of yoga or has a preconceived notion of what yoga is? They don't feel like they're physically fit, don't feel like they can do yoga, but they still need this therapy. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that person? Because I know that anyone can do this, but how would you help that person? feel better.
Yeah, sure. So I think there are two components to that. And the first component is, I'm not the yoga person who can bend my body into a pretzel and hold these poses, these balancing poses that look so difficult on Instagram. My body doesn't look like that, and I don't do that. And I would say to you, it's totally fine. It's not about really a yoga practice in the traditional sense. It might be one pose that we're working on. It might be one or two poses, or it might be that you're lying down and I'm doing yoga assist, helping you find that range of motion and just find the places in your body that feel stuck or sore. And it really isn't about a yoga practice. It's not a vinyasa. It's not a flow. It's about finding a pose that helps you feel more grounded, or it helps you relax, or it's about manipulating the body with my assistance. I'm helping, keeping you safe. I'm helping you. And from wherever you are, whether you're sitting in a chair or we're lying down on the floor in the practice, or you're lying down in the practice, and then manipulating the body to help it let go of whatever it's holding on to. And so it's more about letting go of pent-up pain and stress than it is about a yoga practice.
So the key takeaway is anyone in any physical condition can do this modality.
Absolutely.
You do not have to be fit. You don't have to be trim. You don't have to look like a yogi.
No.
What you think a yogi would look like in your mind.
You don't have to know the name of any pose. Right. You don't have to know anything, right?
This is all assisted, and it's really to get to the root cause of what is bothering your body and your mind and your soul.
Yeah, it's about finding solutions. So it goes beyond, there are lots of things out there to help, and they're all good, and they all have benefit, right? So people can benefit from chiropractic care, or from massage, or from Reiki, or any number of things that are available, and they're all good. What I like about yoga therapy is it takes it one step further to explore what might be at the root. So it's so proactive. It's so you're involved in the process and creatively exploring, what do I need? What are my needs? What are my real needs that I'm not listening to? Because the body's telling you you have a need. When it evidences with pain, or a twitch, or a stutter, or a upset stomach every day,
or fatigue,
or
headaches.
It's the body's telling you something, and this yoga therapy is about learning to listen to what it's saying. And that's the difference between yoga therapy and other things. You're learning how to tune in and to listen to what the messages are. One other thing I want to add with yoga, sometimes people hear yoga and they think, oh, it's an Eastern spiritual practice, and I'm a Christian. And that can be a barrier. Yoga therapy is not religiously based at all. It is, or it doesn't have to be. And it allows you to connect with your spiritual being. And when I say spiritual being, we are all have a spiritual component to us.
Yes.
So that's what I mean by spiritual being, I'm not talking about a particular religion. So it allows you to connect with the spiritual aspect of who you are, and then connect with, with your religious tradition in the most complete sense that you can.
It's a beautiful practice. It really is.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah. I really enjoy talking about it, and I really want to be able to help people. My goal is to help people feel wow. And I want people to find whole body optimized well-being, and through some of these tools, I think I can help guide people in that direction.
Yeah, well, you can speak from experience.
I really can.
Which is huge.
Yeah, I can. And for those, again, I go back to the religious thing. I feel like I connected with the faith of my childhood so much more completely and understood it so much more when I worked through things in a yoga therapy tradition. And it was really ironic, actually. But it was very powerful and made me a more complete person.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, tell everybody how to find you. What's the best place to find you if they want to work with you or want to consult with you?
The best place to find me is on my website, breakthroughwellbeing.com. It's all one word, breakthroughwellbeing.com. That's the best place. You can click there to sign up for a consultation. I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me there. I have a small YouTube channel, which you can also find me out there as well. But the best place probably is my website.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here and enlightening me. And I love learning about new modalities, so this sounds amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm happy to offer it anytime you want. You could give you a sample.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kristen. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on another enriching episode of Soul Wellness with Kristen. We hope the insights shared today have resonated with you, inspiring a deeper connection to your own journey towards holistic well-being. If you enjoyed today's episode, we invite you to subscribe, share, and reach out. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring you meaningful content that educates, empowers, and uplifts. Remember, you are a vital part of this community, and together we're creating a ripple effect of positive change.